Yo guys, what's up? Today we're going to be reacting to stories. I think they're supposed to be scary. Not for sure, but let's jump into it.
My name is Ethan, and I'm a photographer. I took a trip last year with my wife to the Colorado mountains for an art project. My wife is also an avid skier, so she talked me into adding skiing into the trip. We had the option to book a room at a ski resort or rent out a private log cabin. The second one seemed more romantic, so I picked that one. Plus, it didn't hurt that it was cheaper. The cabin was nothing luxurious or anything. It was a single-floor, 4-room little thing. A 2-person bedroom, a small living room, a kitchen, and a bathroom. It may have been small, but the actual idea of being secluded in a warm log cabin during a blizzard was amazing. However, the storm was interfering with the cable signal, so we didn't have much to do this one particular evening. It was just starting to get dark out at this point, but there was still a decent amount of light outside, so I thought it would be perfect for getting a few shots and videos in the blizzard for backgrounds and wallpapers.
Alright, wait 1 second. Why would you go out in the middle of a blizzard to take pictures? I mean, just think about that for a second. Like, why would you do that?
I told my wife I'd be back within 10 minutes and slipped on my boots and coat. The moment I stepped outside and shut the door, I noticed footsteps leading up to the door in the snow that had blown under the wooden awning. I could see the prints doubled, as whoever left them there turned and went the opposite direction. I was freaked the fuck out, but I wasn't about to go inside and scare my wife. I decided to give in to my curiosity and followed the prints to the right side of the cabin. Right away, I noticed that they led to the bedroom window. My heart froze in fear when I saw this. I could see my wife sitting on the bed using her iPad. She noticed me, and I waved. She laughed. I continued to follow the footprints around the cabin to the other side. They led to the living room window on the other side. Someone was stalking us, but how long ago was the question? I found myself standing there for a good minute asking myself if I should follow the footprints anymore. For whatever reason, I decided I would. They were now leading away from the cabin. I knew I was following the prints to where this person was going, not coming from, simply by the boot marks. I followed the prints away from the opening and into the trees. That was where I saw him. A man wearing a black coat facing a tree, slouched down looking at the ground. He was still as a statue, and I could see the snow piling up on his hood and shoulders. I froze in my tracks, trying not to make a sound. I would have thought to ask him if he needed help otherwise, but this guy was just standing there not doing anything, like some kind of deranged freak. I started to gradually move backwards without even turning around, making sure this man didn't turn around or notice me. When I got at a visual distance, I turned around and stomped through the snow back to the cabin. When I slammed the door shut, my wife came over to what was wrong. I saw worry in her eyes. I guess she saw the worry in mine. She knew I saw something, and after a few minutes I finally told her what I saw. She immediately started packing her things, telling me we're leaving right away. I told her no, we're not going anywhere. I would not get a refund for leaving early shut. For the rest of the night, we read stuff on our iPads. I reviewed the pictures and video I had taken so far. We turned out the lights early as listening to the wind blowing outside, along with the small flakes of snow hitting the windows, was strangely relaxing, and I knew I'd be able to fall asleep quickly. Except if it wasn't for the knock at the bedroom window.
Dude, that would be creepy. Like, just imagine that happening to you, like, right in the middle of the night when you're sleeping, just like you're all asleep, and then, like, all of a sudden you hear a knock, you're like, go away. Well, at least that's what I would be like, so.
We were both still awake, and we both knew it was a knock from a person. I ushered my wife out of bed and out into the living room without turning on any lights. There was nothing to use as a weapon whatsoever. Our only option we heard a knock at the living room window from the opposite side of our car. We took that opportunity to run. I pressed the unlock button. Cabin on our side now. Not a window, just facing the wall of the cabin in the same position I had seen him in earlier.
This is what I would have done right there. I would have just got the car out and drove, and I would have ran that guy over. I mean, hey, yeah, I would probably run into the log cabin, but that's just like, why wouldn't you do that? I mean, this is also a smart decision, but like, I mean, hey, just saying.
As if he were hiding his face. We drove to the nearby ski resort without much trouble in the Jeep. We stayed there for the night and went back the next day to the log cabin to collect our things we left behind. I'm 27 years old. I live alone in a rural town in Virginia, about 2 blocks away from my parents. My parents are both in their on weekends at a bar or with women. I would sometimes come home to my mom sitting in the living room waiting, worried sick. I know you may just think, oh my god, that's crazy, why not just put your foot down and tell her to stop? Well, because you don't know my mom. It's very hard to describe her, but she's the kind of worried...
She looks like a sad, depressed woman. I mean, look at her face. I mean, God, it scares me.
Some innocent little lady that you just can't bring yourself to go against. And I hate to mention, she also has mild dementia.
Just look at it. Look at that face. Just look at it. It's such a like sad and depressed face. She didn't have that lipstick on. I guarantee you it'd be like a big old frowny face.
Anyway, this was Saturday night. I think it was around 2 in the morning. I was at a nearby club with a group of college friends. Really the only place to hang out in this boring town. And I was getting the doorknob. I realized it was unlocked. My mom's here again.
That'd be kind of funny, like if you're just standing there, like just walking by as he was doing that, and like he tripped and fell down the stairs. That would have been funny.
I didn't see my mom anywhere, so I assumed she must have gone upstairs to sleep in the guest bed until I got. She still has to wait up and treat me like a child. I ran upstairs to check the guest bed. Empty, along with all the bathrooms. I was afraid Mom was having one of her episodes due to her condition, so I said, "That's not possible, she's sleeping right next to me." My mouth fell open as I turned my head to face the dark upstairs, and just barely by the light provided by the kitchen, I could see a head peering around from the corner at the top of the stairs, looking down at me. I screamed into the phone as I ran out the front door and down the street to my parents' house, explaining to my father on the way. About halfway there, my dad told me, "Alright, I'm gonna call the cops," and hung up. I made it to my parents.
I love his run. Did you see it? Like, how he swung his arms and, like, he was like, like he almost was about to die. Like, I mean, I can understand that, but, like, I mean, man, dude, you must be out of shape.
Parents' house, where my mom was already waiting at the worried sick. My mom explained that she did come over to clean my kitchen a little bit and to bring over the cake they did make. It felt like 15 minutes before they came back outside and said it was clear. They checked the crawl space, the attic, everything. There was really nothing for me to report, other than the door was left unlocked and I saw the outline of a head upstairs before I ran for it. Still, I didn't feel safe sleeping in there that night, so I went back to my parents' house. Both sad, but also relieved. Some nights, I still get paranoid that whoever was in my house that night never left, and is still hiding in here somewhere.
It's kind of creepy. Oh, God. I meant gosh, my bad. I have a habit of that.
So everybody was getting antsy in their seats, I could tell. We didn't laid-back teacher like that. As we were doing some brand logo quiz on Sporkle, I remember the exact moment it happened. Right after my friend answered a question, I remember the exact answer too, Adidas. The dean's voice came through the loudspeaker. He sounded a laid-back teacher too, seemed panicked as he ran to turn off the lights and ushered us, indicating that the school must have cut all the power. We all looked at each other, realizing this must be serious. A few more minutes of waiting later, we heard a man screaming at the top of his lungs coming down the hallway. 2 girls in the class actually started crying, which made all of us even more scared. As the screaming got closer to the classroom, the lunatic-sounding man started banging on the lockers while screaming, "I'll kill all of you." It was at that moment that I started to fear for my life. My teacher shushed us as we all looked at each other to see our peers' reactions. The banging then moved from the lockers to our classroom door. And that's when one of the crying girls screamed no. The banging on the door only grew worse as the man started screaming, "Open up." Two of the girls in the class were crying out loud now. It felt like an eternity.
Oh, what the crap, man? That had to happen right in the middle of the video. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Alright, it's gonna rewind.
On the door only grew worse as the man started screaming, "Open up." Two of the girls in the class were crying out loud now. It felt like an eternity.
You know, man, really? Right in the middle of my video. Oh my gosh.
That man was pounding at the door. But eventually, he finally continued down the hallway, screaming like a mentally insane person until we could not hear him anymore. I'd say 10 minutes later, though it felt like half an hour given the situation, the dean came back on the loudspeaker explaining the situation, which was surprising for him to do. He explained that some apparently mentally unstable person entered the building and assaulted the woman sitting at the front desk, causing her to flee the building screaming, and staff wasn't sure if the man was armed or not. Now, this was before the school had cameras or could afford proper security, so the school was wide open to something like this happening. The staff had done a sweep of all the hallways and classrooms and couldn't find him, so the dean instructed the teachers to resume teaching but to keep all the doors locked and to not let any students leave for any reasons. The most disturbing part, however, is that one of the janitors working the night shift found the man sleeping in one of the storage closets near the back end of the school, and according to rumors that were spread by my peers, sticking out of his pocket was a .44 Magnum. The janitor must have done something stupid to wake him up, for example, leaving the closet door open, because by the time a police officer could arrive on the scene, the man was gone. My entire class, as far as I know, to this day, has no idea if this man was ever found, but I like to think that right now, he's being given the proper help that he needs.
Alright guys, that's gonna be it for today. Comment down below if you want a part 2, maybe a part 3 on this. And also, a link to my boy, if it loads. Llama Arts. I've watched a lot of his videos and they are good.